All right, let's get right into it. For as long as we've watched football, we've judged defenders by the things we can see, right? The big tackle, the towering header, the last-ditch block. But what if the very best defenders are masters of an art that's, well, completely invisible? Today we're going to explore how technology is finally pulling back the curtain on what might be the most misunderstood position in all of sports.
This quote from Paolo Maldini, one of the greatest to ever do it, sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? A paradox. But it perfectly captures this quiet revolution that's happening in how we think about defense. That very action we've always cheered for as the height of defensive brilliance, it might actually be an admission that something went wrong moments before.
For decades, highlight reels have been packed with these dramatic, sliding, last-ditch tackles. We see them as these incredible acts of heroism. But what new data is telling us is that this is a huge misunderstanding. We've basically been cheering for the symptom, not the cure.
You see, football has suffered from something we could call event bias. We praise the defender who's always scrambling, sprinting across the pitch, putting out fires. He looks busy. But we completely ignore the quiet genius whose perfect positioning means the fire never even starts. One guy is reacting to danger. The other is neutralizing the threat before it can even take shape.
So what exactly have we been missing? Well, almost everything. The scale of this analytical black hole is just staggering, because the vast majority of a player's real impact happens when they're nowhere near the ball. Let's put a number on that to really let it sink in. In a full 90-minute match, this is the average amount of time a single player actually has the ball at their feet. 1 minute and 49 seconds. That's it. For the entire rest of the game, their value is being decided by something else entirely.
And this just perfectly illustrates the problem. An estimated 98% of a player's defensive impact comes from their movement, their positioning, their awareness, all the stuff they do off the ball, all the things that traditional stats just completely, totally ignore.
This is the huge challenge, right? How on earth can you quantify a pass that was never even made? How do you give a defender credit for shutting down a passing lane so perfectly that the attacker just looks away and doesn't even consider it an option? How do you measure prevention? Well, the answer lies in a revolutionary new framework that people are calling DEFCON. It uses optical tracking data and really powerful AI models to finally see the entire pitch and, you guessed it, measure the unseen. So let's break down how this thing actually works. Okay, so here's the magic. The system is constantly, every second, calculating the other team's threat level. So if a defender just shuffles, say, 30 centimeters to his left, and in doing so shuts down a dangerous passing lane, the model sees the opponent's chance of scoring just plummet. And that defender, he gets a ton of credit for it, without ever having to touch the ball.
Now, this ability to calculate threat in real time opens the door to something even more amazing. This sounds like science fiction. It's a way to compare a player not against other players, but against a data-driven virtual version of themselves.
Here's how it works. The system can take a real player, let's say Arsenal's William Saliba, and just virtually replace him in the game with a ghost. Now, this ghost isn't a superstar. It's an AI model that acts exactly how an average player would in that exact same position and situation. It creates the perfect baseline to measure against. And here's the result. This is where you really see it. In this example, with the average ghost player on the field, the opponent created 0.8 expected goals. That's just a measure of the quality of their chances. But with the real Saliba on the pitch, they only created 0.3. That difference, that half a goal that just vanished into thin air, that is the quantifiable measure of Saliba's unique game-reading genius. And look, this isn't just some fun experiment for data nerds. This information is actively changing how clubs all over the world find and sign new players. It is literally rewriting the rules of scouting.
So there's this great story making the rounds in analytics circles. A top club once signed a young defender from the second division in Portugal. Now his traditional stats, tackles, headers won, they were just okay, mediocre. But his threat suppression score from this ghosting model was better than any starting defender in Spain's top league. They signed him for his brain, not just for his tackles.
And maybe the most exciting part of all this? This revolution is becoming available to everyone. The old multi-camera tracking systems used to cost a fortune, totally out of reach for most clubs. But thanks to new AI that can do it with a single camera, the cost has just collapsed, down to less than 1% of what it used to be. Elite-level data is not just for the giants anymore.
So when you add all of this up, it points to this massive fundamental shift in what we should actually value in a defender. The whole philosophy is changing. It's no longer about spectacular reactions, but about quiet, intelligent prevention.
And this has led to this really cool new concept that analysts are talking about, the un-X pass. It's the art of making the other team's best ideas impossible before they're even born. It's the ultimate defensive skill, erasing a dangerous pass from existence just through pure intelligence and positioning.
So, it leaves us with one last thing to think about. The next time you're watching a game, try not to just look for the player making that heroic tackle. Instead, try to find the player who never seems to have to make one at all, because the greatest defensive contributions might just be the ones you can't see.